affect about 4 billion people.
But I don't know. There are all these predictions in UFO space around 2027.
I'm just telling you, the remote viewers all see this.
Yeah.
They see that all the coastal areas of the world have gone deep underwater.
Your blood isn't just a fluid, but a whole ecosystem working nonstop to keep you alive. Red blood cells have their unique shape because they lack a nucleus, giving them more surface area to carry oxygen. Also called leukocytes, white blood cells such as neutrophils move like amoeba as they hunt intruders and clear away dead cells. All these cells float through your plasma, a yellowish, water-rich liquid that makes up 55% of your blood. A bustling, microscopic world keeping you alive.
Yeah.
Someone said the Smithsonian must have missed one. Look at what this person finds in this crevice while in Mitora, Greece. A giant skull that fell down who knows how long ago. And if you look, they're about 100 yards away from this crevice. So that head is estimated to be twice the size of a human skull, which is exactly how many different ancients described the size of some giants. Twice the size, some were 3 times the size, double rows of teeth. Look at this freaking thing, dude. Giant skull found in Greece. And guess what? The ancient Greeks talked all about freaking giants. Also note, you can't really get up here. This isn't part of the tour. It's kind of a spire sticking up out of the ground. And furthermore, the person who uploaded this said that God guided their gaze to this spot. They saw it with their eyes first. And then they said, hold on a sec, zoom in. It's a freaking giant skull. And by the way, before you think, that's impossible. Dude, look up the newspaper articles since the 1800s. There's been hundreds of articles about giant bones, giant skulls, everything found, boom, bang, bing, all across the United States, all across Europe, let alone the ancient texts like the Bible, and even the Quran talks about it. I'm pretty sure even the freaking Talmud mentions giants. It was common knowledge back then. Cain and Abel, you got Jack and the Beanstalk. How many fairy tales? I'm just reading fairy tales now, and I'm seeing that so many of them are talking about giants. Fairy tale. They duped us, man. People thinking giants didn't exist or weren't real, yada, yada. They freaking were, but the problem is that if you find out that giants are legit, it'll make you question the official narrative of how history unfolded, and their whole charade falls down. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and follow for more.
I'm a freaking giant.
You've probably seen this before, but isn't it crazy that if you go to one specific side of Earth, it literally looks like there's no land and it's just a massive planet covered by an ocean? This is actually the most isolated place on Earth, called Point Nemo. It is the furthest from land area you can get anywhere on Earth. What's insane to think about is if you were here alone on a boat, the closest other people to you would be the astronauts on the International Space Station at 250 miles away. And the second closest people would likely be the people on Easter Island at 1,600 miles away. Point Nemo is also extremely close to the area where the bloop was hurt. You know, that presumed unknown sea monster, if it's not just an iceberg breaking in half. But this is also the location of the lost Lovecraftian city of Arlier, you know, where Cthulhu is imprisoned in the story. So is the bloop actually Cthulhu? I thought it was super cool, and I wanted to talk about Point Nemo again, so there you go.
That's wild.
We really live in the best time to have ever lived. South Korea did it again, and this time it's the scientists at the Seoul National University. They've created a micro-needle patch. I mean, they're thinking it's just going to be $300. It puts stem cells into the teeth, regrows the teeth, and they're saying it's going to end dentures forever. So I'm curious, if you can get a patch that covers your gums or where your tooth used to be, and it just regrows your tooth, who's signing up for that instead of getting, you know, metal screws screwed into their head? And by the way, those metal screws really hurt when they're getting drilled into your head, and nobody really wants to tell you that. I mean, yeah, they can give you painkillers or put you to sleep, but if you could just put on a patch and it's some micro needles, which I'm sure you don't even feel the micro needles, I think this is a big win. Are you going to do the patch or the implant or neither? I mean, that's the best way, right? Just stay healthy.
What? Damn, dude. That's another... Man, you should really brush your teeth more because that is not normal.
The government has retrieved at least 2 different alien species, and that one of them made contact with the crash retrieval team. What does that mean? Does that mean it was alive when they captured it?
One of the intelligence officials in the film speaks about an event that happened on a U.S. military base where two UAP approached the base. One of them landed, and apparently non-human beings exited the craft and interacted with members of the Air Force and the CIA. Now, here's the thing: these all sound like extraordinary claims that are hard for people to wrap their head around, right?
Yeah.
But these are 34. In my film, there's 34 extremely high-level military, government, intelligence officials, people who have been trusted with very high-level security clearances, people who have been involved in, keeping this nation safe in many different ways, and people who we trust in a lot of scenarios. And, these interview subjects range from our Secretary of State to sitting senators to former, Director of National Intelligence, a former Secretary of Defense, leaders from the Pentagon, leaders from the CIA, leaders from the Air Force, leaders from the Navy. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's really hard to ignore what these people are saying.
It's really hard to say this is one kooky person doing this when you have this much experience in every level and every branch of government all coming together on camera to say, not only have we retrieved alien spacecraft, we've retrieved alien remains.
Yeah, and keep in mind, these are people that are not aligned at all ideologically or politically, right? But they're aligned on this. So it's 34 senior officials sharing one truth.
I'm gonna watch that actually after this. I can't wait. Age of Disclosure. Y'all check it out. It's gonna be a phenomenal shift.
This is hands down one of the coolest photos taken from outer space of all time, and I'm gonna try really hard to explain why. This is a real image taken in 1977 from a spacecraft traveling over 30,000 miles per hour. And this is the first image of the Earth and the moon in the same frame. Be honest, did you notice the moon was there? This image was taken through 3 different color filters and processed back on Earth, and also because the Earth is so much brighter than the moon was actually brightened by 3 times. But here's a brighter version. This is insane because the perspective makes the scale look so different. But this is where Voyager started, and now it is the most distant human-made object from Earth. At this point, it's 16 billion miles away, which means it takes about 23 hours one way just to send signals to it. And it's old. It's losing power, so to conserve the scientific abilities that it had left, scientists actually shut off the camera in 1990. But right before it did, it turned around and took one last look at Earth. This is the pale blue dot. That's Earth, and the moon is too small and dim to see. You can see how far the spacecraft went from this to this in 13 years. Now, hopefully someday aliens will intercept it and get a hint that there's other life out there. If you learned something from this video, please consider voting for me for the Learning Creator of the Year at the first United States TikTok Awards. I am so excited.
Images of 3 Atlas are absolutely incredible. You haven't seen my last video, go and see it, and it explains a lot about what we're seeing here, right? But there's another side of it I kind of want to bring to the surface, which I've kind of been made aware of literally just now, right? So here it is. There was some astrophotographers which took 20-minute exposures, multiple imagery, and just kind of whacked them together, which kind of revealed this beautiful and incredible structure of 3 Atlas, right? But there's a few things I want to kind of bring here. So there's a few people, there's one on YouTube called No Rivets, who is a remote viewer. Now, months ago, they did a remote viewing session of 3 Atlas, which kind of basically brought up this sketch and imagery that you're seeing here of the object, right? And on the object itself, she says, divine technology, somewhat slightly awakened, will not last forever, radiating, energy source, and dead center. And if we're looking at this right now, it looks directly in the middle there. It looks like her drawing. Okay, with a center core with this kind of diamond-shaped nature, right? And if we're looking at this on a level-headed level, what we're seeing is jets of supercharged particles being jetted out, and this object is spinning. But look at it's like a shield, it's like a cross, it's incredible, right? Now there's another person, and his name is Lay PQ. And months ago, he's, I'll read a little bit about what he's saying here. This random image kept popping in my head months ago, so much that I had to paint it to figure it out. Today, a big surprise. And he tagged me in a video, and he showed me this painting here. He painted this months ago. And he was also, remote viewing 3 Atlas, which kind of brought up the same imagery that we're seeing here. Now, coincidence or something more? Right? And you know my personal belief on this now. If you don't know my personal belief, you can go back to my video and believe what it is. But I believe this on a physical level is a very unique and beautiful comet-like object. But in its own classification, this object is just something that we haven't seen before. But on a spiritual level, I believe personally that this is something more. Now, there's a few people that are connecting the dots and seeing the same things. Now, coinkydink? I don't know.
The Earth's rotational pull has shifted over 2 feet in the last 20 years, and researchers have identified why, and it's really not good. Turns out reallocation of underground water caused the tilt, and researchers modeled it. Yep, our best explanation for why the tilt has changed is with underground water being pulled up and placed on the surface or into the ocean. Yeah, the Earth is not really that big, and apparently little changes in where mass is located can have big consequences. And it's not just water that's being pulled up from aquifers. They've also found that making dams and allocating water into large reservoirs had also caused a shift. But wait, there's more. There's other really bad consequences to draining aquifers. Now, in case you're not familiar, aquifers are underground water sources. They end up trickling through from the land and making these deposits over millions of years. They are not renewable. But we also found out that our cities are being supported by them. We humans like to make cities near where there are water supplies. We use aquifers for things like agriculture. And when they run out, that is a huge problem. I mean, what are we going to do with our inland cities? People are just going to have to move because we need water. There have been some efforts to figure out how we can refill them. That is great. But there's another issue, that pulling from them is making our cities collapse. So you can see in this map of elevation changes, and this was made by NASA, those that are in dark blue are sinking and red are elevating. Yeah, maybe it's good for the coastal cities to be a little bit more elevated. This has been attributed to pulling from groundwater. Apparently you can't take the water that is underneath a city and expect it to just be fine. It feels like this should have been obvious. So yeah, doom and gloom, cities are sinking. We should really probably figure out what to do about water. But I think this is all going to get much worse before it gets better. When the apocalypse comes and the robots rebel, I'll probably be the one to tell you about it. Follow for more.
Police officer pyramid scheme the whole time?
Off-duty police officers could get a side gig as a DARE officer, and then they could recruit other police officers in their area. The more people you recruited, the more kickbacks you got. And that's why it spread so fast, because it was kind of an MLM. And the way they got that model, one of the board members, the founder of Herbalife.
You know what dog food tastes like? Do you? It tastes just like it smells. Delicious.
There's a mystery off our coast tonight. Bubbling water keeping South Bay residents busy.
Mike, a lot of people are wondering what this is.
A lot of people are wondering, Pat, and we went digging for the answers tonight, and it all started with videos just like this. You see all this bubbling coming off the coast of Hermosa Beach. This has had residents really trying to figure out what's been going on for the last several days, and I want to show you some more video sent in to us by a viewer and by somebody who took the video, Bo Bridges. This is what a lot of people saw when they stood on the shoreline. You just kind of see the white caps just kind of rustling there underneath. Bo flew a drone out there and discovered this. It looks a lot more intense when you're right on top of it, and you can see all that water coming out. There was a lot of chatter on Facebook, a local Facebook group down there, figuring out what this was. Was it aliens? No, of course, it's not aliens, but it is underwater fiber lines that are being cleaned. We'll show you the video because we sent SkyCal down there today, and you'll see just how far from the shore and into the water this actually is. There's the boat that's doing the work. I was able to speak with the contractor who runs this crew, and he tells me that these are fiber lines that run from the West Coast all the way to Asia. Now, they tell me that early next year, Meta is expected to add onto that line. And in order to get ready for that, they had to clean out the lines. So they were blowing air through them to clean the lines. And that is what created that giant bubble that came up. But it had me wondering a lot. I went down a rabbit hole, which I do sometimes. I want to show you this. Look at this. These are all of the underwater fiber lines that cross all across the world. It really is remarkable just how many of them are. And it was this that caused this. We'll show you the photo here. This is just one of many things that was floating around on social media that had a lot of people concerned. But you know what? The people down in Hermosa Beach, they're making light of it now. Check this out. Zaca Mesa Winery is partnering with Bo Bridges. That's who sent us the video. This is one of the wine labels. Look at, there's the little spot. There's the alien spaceship that so many people thought was the cause of the water bubbling up, but they're at Bo Bridges Gallery. So not aliens, not anything to do with whales or potentially their flatulence. That was something else that was going around on Facebook. It is in fact just the cleanliness of the fiber lines that run underneath our oceans, guys.
I still cannot believe that this competition right here, this competition led me to this, my very first attempt at telekinesis, which was not great, but you know what? It was my first attempt. And that attempt just led me to the next attempt, and the next one under a glass. It's funny because ever since I started sharing my own telekinesis practice, I get asked all the time, but is it real? Is it real? And I get it. I would have asked the same exact questions 6 years ago. Back then, if you told me that one day I'd be able to feel energy pulsing between my palms, read information in someone's energy field, or even move an object with focused intent, I would have laughed in your face. Like seriously, I probably would have laughed. But life and consciousness has a way of humbling our certainty, that's for sure. What I have learned is that real isn't always limited to what we can measure with our five senses. And that for me is a fact.
That's so weird.
Hello, and welcome back to Celebrities You Didn't Know Were Kidnapped. So this is actually one of the scariest celebrity kidnapping stories I've ever heard. Today we're talking about Justin Long. This story takes place in 2007 when Justin was filming a movie in Birmingham, Alabama. Justin was out at a local bar after filming with some of the crew when he was approached by two local men. The men offered to take Justin and the production assistants to a casino, but insisted that they all drive together in their car. Justin actually didn't think much of this and agreed to go with them, but first wanted to go back to his hotel room to get some more money to gamble with. So he goes, grabs the money, gets back in the car with the guys, and the guys say that they need to make a pit stop at their house. And while they're at the house, one of them offers Justin some
Ask me about my winner!
weed, and he takes one hit and realizes it's not. He starts immediately feeling like he's losing control of his body, and when he offers it back to the men, they don't want to smoke it. And it's at this point, too, that another man comes out of one of the rooms, goes, "That's the guy," grab the camera, and then they're all back in the car again. At this point, Justin's at least with it enough to know that they're not bringing him back to his hotel, even though he's begging them to. At one point, they actually drive him to the hotel, but don't let him get out and then drive away from it, sort of to like taunt him or to try to calm him down or something. He knows that things are starting to look really dire and gets this overwhelming sense that he is going to die. So what he does next is he opens the car door going 30 miles an hour and jumps out of it. And actually, he's so clumsy as he does it, he falls under the car and the car runs over his leg. But he's actually able to still get up and flag down the next car that drives by, which just happened to be a cab. The PAs that he was with were also let go at this point, and to this day he has nerve damage, but obviously it could have been so much worse. Make sure you're following along for more in this series.
You know the part in scary movies where somebody does something really stupid and everybody hates them for it? This is it.
Yeah, I enjoyed his work. I accepted
So every
a lot.
single time I do a video about the rich and the powerful doing fucked up things, there's always someone in the comments acting like a defense attorney for the billionaire they decided is one of the good ones. We can talk about how elites manipulate markets, they crush workers, they take tax breaks. We can even talk about the fucked up stuff like red rooms and the fact they disappear on the islands doing horrific things. But the second the conversation shifts to someone's personal hero, whether it's a tech messiah or the current president, the critical thinking evaporates like it was never there. They're all in the same social circles. Because suddenly the same folks who talk endlessly about how the elite class is full of predators and manipulators and liars and secret keepers, now they're crying, no, not my guy, not him, he would never. It's funny how selective evil becomes when it bumps into someone's political fantasy. Yeah, people talk so highly about Elon and Peter Thiel and all these fucking monsters, but they're in the same joint ventures as BlackRock, but BlackRock is the devil. This is the core of all the hypocrisy. People want to believe in a good billionaire, even though the entire structure that creates billionaires is the same machine they claim is full of corruption. And if we're going to talk about corruption and power in the dark corners of the elite world, then we can't pretend that our favorite characters are magically exempt. And why the fuck do y'all have favorite billionaires and favorite politicians?